I'm Graham Aldridge, Deputy Head of Range High in Formby, and I'm investigating whether the International Baccalaureate might be right for our school. I've seen the IB in action at Broad Green High School in inner city Liverpool and Harrogate Grammar School in North Yorkshire, and I've learnt a lot about the structure of the IB. Students on the IB programme study 6 subjects from 6 different subject groups. 3 are studied at higher level and 3 at standard level. Everyone does a foreign language and everyone does a science subject. At the heart of the IB are the extended essay, the theory of knowledge, and CAS, or creativity, action and service. In other words, extracurricular activities such as learning a musical instrument or sports coaching with younger students.
Nice finish, Jordan. This way. If you shoot with your
CAS activities, like this football coaching here at Broad Green, really seem to help the students develop as individuals. And I really like the notion that they have to give something back to the community. I'm really looking forward to introducing a programme on this scale in my own school.
Everyone remember the teams we sorted you out in before?
So I'm back here at Broad Green High School in Liverpool with a list of questions. How will we persuade staff and parents that it's the right thing to do? Will we need more staffing or extra facilities? And how much will it all cost? And most importantly, what will our students think of the idea? So this time, I'm not alone. I've brought a group of Year 10 students with me to speak to the IB students here at Broad Green. Come on, you lot.
What are the advantages of doing it?
It's internationally recognised. Well, if you want to travel or if you want to study either degree level or postgraduate level, people recognise it in universities worldwide.
So can you pick any 6 subjects or do you have to pick from particular groups?
Well, this is if you're doing the diploma, you have to do English, you have to do maths, and you have to do a science, or you can alternatively do technology, or some people do 2 sciences and 2 sciences instead of another subject.
I know Group 1 is English.
Yeah, language.
It's language A. Group 2 is your second language, where you, here in Broad Green they offer Italian, Spanish and French.
If you haven't taken a language at GCSE level, how can you cope with the work at IB level?
It's ab initio what you're doing. So I do Italian ab initio, which means from the beginning. You do everything from scratch. It is hard, but you learn from the basics, from sort of saying hello, goodbye, the 1 to 10.
Do you not think that the wide range of subjects can be a disadvantage to people who've got their mindset on the 3 subjects they want to do?
You've got to be committed to do the IB, and I think if you know what you want to do, go for it and do A-levels. But if you want to be challenged, if you want to do something that's internationally recognised, if you want extensive opportunities, do the IB.
Well, I don't really know what CAS is. Is it like a certain subject that you've got to take, or is it just like
it's creativity, action and serve. It's basically getting you involved with other activities and whatnot. Something creative. So, like I did a nail technician course. Action is like maybe if you wanted to do sport, or you can travel with the action, and then service is perhaps community service. You could join the cadets, something to get you involved within the community or outside your curriculum.
Do you not just think it's another pressure on top of your schoolwork and then possibly a weekend job?
Actually, the CAS was a welcomed experience for me because it meant that I don't have to sit, in class and do my work all the time. There was time for me to just forget about work and just relax. And actually, when I came back, I was more refreshed, more motivated and focused.
Would you consider doing the IB now that you've sort of been briefed about it, really?
Yeah. But I'd have to check about the sciences, because I really do want to take 3 sciences. Yeah.
What about you, Todd?
I'm not really too sure.
I think it would depend on the time, what job I wanted to do. Because if I was still a bit clueless, I would take it. Because then, when I decided there's more job possibilities. But if I was set on something, I think I would stick with the A level. But if not, then I would go for the IB.
As the students found out about the IB from their perspective, I was finding out about the logistics of introducing the IB from head teacher Ian Andane.
The IB requires that there's a diploma programme coordinator, DP coordinator. They usually suggest that it's a member of the leadership team. You've got to have a CAS coordinator, and you've certainly got to have a designated TOK teacher. In terms of teachers teaching on the programme, to be perfectly honest, it's very, very difficult just to recruit, but it's, you know, identifying teachers to go on workshops for the IB.
So you actually started with your own staff and sent them on IB
Yes.
training first.
Yeah.
Have you recruited any people new to the school specifically to teach IB?
No, not in that sense. You know, they're recruited to the school specifically to teach, and then, you know, we say, are you interested in doing Key Stage 5 work? If they are, then in that case, you know, we would look to send them on a course.
How do you go about marketing the IB to students and parents?
Well, certainly from your point of view, one of the great advantages that you've got now is that the IB has produced a lot of really good publicity material telling parents and students what the course is about. And you can download that from the IBO website. But we actually had to produce most of our material.
And how have you gone about evaluating the success of the programme?
Well, I think one of the principal ways is the proportion of students that go on to higher education. In that regard, we've done exceptionally well with well over 90% of students who do the diploma programme going on to higher education. Of course, you can use other, you know, criteria. You could use the percentage gaining the full diploma. Of course, one really interesting way of evaluating the quality of the diploma programme is not just the students who go to university, but actually the ones who stay the course and get a good honours degree.
Down the road at Liverpool University, Valerio Rivero, a former student of the International Baccalaureate Diploma at Broad Green, told me how he was getting on with his studies. Valerio, you studied the IB at Broad Green High School. What are you doing now?
Well, currently I'm doing a master's, and I'm going to finish this in September, and then from October I'm going to start doing a PhD here in Liverpool in astrophysics.
How well did the IB prepare you for university life?
I believe it prepared me very well, because some subjects were very sort of specialized in the sense that they would teach almost first-year style university course. I had research skills which some of my fellow colleagues did not have, and I learned a lot from the IB in the sense that I was somehow one step ahead.
And the IB is quite a broad-based course, and yet you're in a very specialised field. How did it prepare you?
Two of my main subjects that I chose were very good choices for the IB. Physics, I chose one of the options which was astrophysics. This motivated me even further to sort of choose this career path. And then the others were just a sort of a fallback, in the sense that if I decided not to follow a career in physics, I would still have other skills like language skill, and well, I did business as one of my other options, and I thought, well, maybe I could open a business.
The International Baccalaureate obviously prepares students well for university life. But what about getting into university in the first place? I asked Dr. Cathy Johnson, Admissions Sub-Dean for the Science Faculty at Liverpool University, about how well the IB is recognised.
We recognise the IB as a very strong, high-quality qualification. We've got quite a lot of experience of it because we have quite a lot of overseas students who come with it, and people from private schools, independent schools. We always consider qualifications other than A-levels on an individual basis, and the IB on the same level, but we always look very positively to students who are offering the IB.
So you don't feel there's any sense in which students who have the IB lose out in any way compared to students with A-levels?
No, not at all. They're going to get offers at Liverpool in all courses.
And what about specialised courses at the university like medicine? Does the broad range of the IB make it more difficult for students to access those courses?
No, medicine also recognise that students who've got the breadth of the IB are good. Their offers are tough. They have to get 7 in chemistry and biology, and at least another 6. I think it's an overall points of 38 or 39 or something like that. So they do have to get the top possible grades in specific subjects.
Do you notice any difference in first-year undergraduates between students who've come with the IB and students who've come with A-levels?
That's very difficult to answer because we have such a wide range of different students with different A-levels that it's hard to say which ones are going to stand out. So you can't really do a comparison. IB students tend to do very well, though, because they're used to more independent working than some A-level students anyway.
So far, I'm convinced by what I've seen and heard, but I need to find out what's next. Where do we go from here? And how do I introduce the IB into my own school? And there's no one better to ask than Michael Bailey, the IB coordinator at Harrogate Grammar School, where the IB was only introduced 1 year ago. So Mike, what was your timescale for the introduction of the IB?
I think initially our timescale was about 18 months, which I think is probably the fastest that you can do that to introduce the IB. Realistically, we needed another year in terms of advertising and getting students onto the programme.
What's been the effect on your A-level classes?
Well, so far our IB student numbers are reasonably small, and we are a large sixth form, so I don't think there's any immediate impact on A-level numbers. I think if anything, it's perhaps in the smaller subjects like music, for instance, where if you have a small group anyway and you split that between A-level and IB, I think those are the areas where it would have the largest impact.
Which cohort of students were you targeting?
We really aimed it at committed students, because it's not just for bright students. We were aiming it at those who could see a 2-year programme through, that aren't the same opportunities to drop subjects. So I think it was important that we just took people who were committed.
And what sort of costs did that bring with it?
Well, there are costs for staffing, there's costs for paying coordinator's salary, there's stuff for materials, staff training. Altogether, it probably came to about £30,000, maybe a little bit more.
So were there any additional resources that you had to buy?
Well, one of the issues that actually came out of the authorisation process when we'd had our authorisation visit was the quality of our library. We had a fairly standard state school library, very similar to what we have in many other schools. We'd already identified the need to improve it and we had plans to build a new library, but we had to do that to get our authorisation. And this is it. This is our wonderful space, our wonderful library. We spent £100,000 on books as a result of a library appeal, and what we have now is a fantastic resource for students.
And what about the impact on staff workload?
Well, I have great admiration for my staff, really. Many of them have had to write schemes of work which do need to be written for the authorisation process in a fair amount of detail. And many staff were doing that with the knowledge that their subject might not run, we might not even get authorised, and yet they did the job. By and large, there was a tremendous amount of enthusiasm for the IB. I think the challenge it offers to teachers and the opportunities that it's given to students just really won the case for us.
And can you tell me a little bit about what sort of staff training you had to put in place?
Well, the IBO staff training is absolutely wonderful. I have to say it's some of the best in-service training that I've had in the whole of my teaching career. I went off to Geneva for a week to train as the IB coordinator. And the quality of the training is fantastic.
Well, I'm convinced. I've spoken to teachers and pupils and I've seen the IB in operation in schools.
What is it and how are you...
The thing that draws me most to the IB is the fact that it develops the students as independent learners. The theory of knowledge and the essay in particular push the students to think for themselves. I do have a small reservation about how the IB is viewed for university entrance. But the only really big unknown that remains for me is, will our students and parents fall for the IB the way I have?